Okay, I'm going to answer the question of how to make salmon gravlax, your own home cured gravlax. And I have my own special formula here, which is going to be, the gravlax is going to be cured with grapefruit zest, lemon zest, lime zest, and orange zest, and fresh dill. Okay, so I'm going to proceed right into making it right now by zesting the grapefruit, lemon, lime, and orange onto the flesh of the salmon. Now I'm starting out with a fresh piece of salmon with the skin intact. I'm doing what I would consider to be a version size that you might be interested in rather than a whole fillet. And after I get done showing you how this is cured and how it's stored in the refrigerator during the curing process, I'm going to pull out one that I cured as of 4 days ago, which is ready now to eat and be sliced. And then we're going to do a demonstration on how to put it on a plate, etc. And you're going to love this. This is a really nice item. This is a homemade thing that you make. Of course, there are variations on how to flavor it. Some people put vodka in it. Some people put more salt or more sugar or a variety of herbs. It doesn't have to be exclusively with dill, but I'm using dill because it's the most common and has the most tradition and history of being made like this, okay? So we're going to start by taking a zester and zesting the grapefruit right over the top. Now, I'm not going to zest the lemon, lime, and grapefruit over the skin side. I'm going to do it only on the flesh side. The zest, of course, is the absolute essence of this citrus. It probably tastes more like the citrus than the citrus does in some ways in terms of using it for cooking and things like this. Of course, your finished gravlax can be used in many ways. You can treat it as if, like, the same ways you might treat smoked salmon. And that is actually one of the ways that I'm going to present it on the plate for you when we're done, okay? So I got my grapefruit on there. Let's get some orange on there. Lemon by itself would be probably the most traditional way of doing this, but I kind of like it with all four of the citrus on it. It gives it a little punch when you mix it with the dill. Okay, now we got the orange on there. Now a little bit of lemon. There's all different kind of zesters out there. You just need one that works for you. I wouldn't go out and spend too much money on one of them. The manufacturing world has a tendency to make things more expensive and flashy than you really need as a cook to complete your project. So I always lean towards the cautious side in terms of what I buy, because the equipment does not make the food. You do. Okay, and now for some lime. One would think that all this might cause it to have too much flavor, but the fact is, this intense part of the flavor from the citrus and the dill and the salt and the sugar and the pepper that we're going to put on here are only on the perimeter of the slices. They're not completely through the salmon. You're mainly just tasting on the outside edge. Okay, and there's the lime. All right, now we're going to put salt, sugar, pepper. I'm going to put a little smidgen of extra virgin olive oil on here. Good for flavor. All right, salt. Probably, I have here about a 1 pound to 1 1/4 pound piece of salmon. And I'm probably going to use about, by the time it's all said and done on both sides, close to 1/4 cup of salt. Okay, that's 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to salt it moderately heavily, but we're going to salt the skin side more because it has protection between the flesh and the salt and sugar. Okay, sugar, and you're not going to taste it like sugar per se when you actually get around to eating this later. Pepper, that you want to be careful with. You don't want to put too much pepper on it, okay? Now, that side of the salmon is pretty much seasoned. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fresh dill and I'm going to chop it small. Okay, that'll work. Now, here's one little trick. You notice how I'm doing all this on a sheet of aluminum foil. Now I'm going to take the dill, I'm going to put it over here, because otherwise how are you going to move the thing around and keep all the seasoning intact on it? Okay, so I'm going to just take this, I'm going to flip it over onto the dill, so that side is done. Now I'm going to repeat this process with the salt, heavily on the salt on the skin side. So maybe I'm using a total of 1/3 of a cup of salt. And the sugar. A little more on this side of everything. Salt, pepper, and sugar. And then we'll put the balance of the dill all over this. Now, you're going to seal this up in the aluminum foil. This is not something that you seal up in plastic wrap. You want this to have the ability to breathe a little bit, okay? Just kind of seal that up a little bit like that. Now I'm going to take a second piece of foil. Now this is the skin side, face up here now. We want the flesh side faced up. We're going to press the flesh side with a weight in the refrigerator for 4 days. So you want to make sure you keep track of which side is the skin side and which side isn't. It's not going to make or break the curing process, but I kind of like the weight directly on the flesh side, you know? All right, now I'm going to rewrap it again. Okay. This is now ready to be put in the refrigerator with weights. So what I would do is something along these lines. I put it in a container, put another container on it, press it down, give myself like 20 pounds of weight, put it on here, and put it in the refrigerator for 4 days. You can start eating it in 3 days if you want. Depends how much you want it cured. Or you can keep it in there for 6 or 7 days, and it'll be even more cured. One thing about this, though, after it's cured, the life expectancy of it in the refrigerator, after it's been taken out of the foil and wrapped in plastic wrap to put away, is probably about a week to be safe, all right? So there it is, how to cure salmon gravlax, how to make salmon gravlax, excuse me. But this is my curing process, which, by the way, people really have liked over the years. So I'm going to take this and put it in the refrigerator and put the 20 pounds of weight on it. I'm going to eat this later, long after this video is done. And when I come back in a few minutes, I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to pull out the one that I put in 4 days ago, and we're going to open it up for the first time, slice it, and make you a presented plate of salmon gravlax that you can use as an appetizer. All right, I'll be right back in 10 minutes right now. Okay, the continuation of the salmon gravlax. This fillet of salmon right here, I put in the refrigerator. Well, let's see, today's Monday. I put it in on Thursday morning. So Thursday, all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's exactly 4 days. So we're going to unwrap it for the first time. I have not looked at it. Hopefully, it'll be perfect, you know. So it's the first layer of foil off. And this is a second layer of foil, just like we finished making the other one. It was wrapped twice also, okay? Take the salmon. All right. So far it looks good. So let's start a little bit down here. Just take a piece off of here. This is the thin part, of course, which would certainly be cured faster than the thicker part up here. You might want to keep that in mind if you should happen to use a tail piece to cure to begin with. Let me just have a taste of this real quick. This is good. But what do I know? My opinion doesn't matter that much, you know? The only opinion that matters is the people that are going to eat it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to slice this. And this would be sliced just like smoked salmon is sliced. I'm going to get it on a plate. I'm going to do a little presentation for you with some garnishes. You're going to love this item. So I'm going to take some of this dill off, so we're not overloaded with dill on the plate. And this is the plate right here that we're going to put it on, okay? So I'm going to slice it thin. Now remember, what I'm making on this one individual plate, you can make on a large party tray and have it be more of a buffet type presentation. What I'm doing right now is I'm making you a version for an individual portion that you can treat as a first course appetizer. Or you can just, make it a little bit bigger than this that I'm making and serve it for a lunch with some white wine outside in the summertime. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that either. Oops. Okay, let's say that looks about like enough for an appetizer right there. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Let me get this out of my way. You notice I had a wet towel underneath my cutting board. That's what keeps the cutting board anchored to the table. It doesn't slide around on it, So whenever I set up a cutting board, I always put a wet rag under it. Okay, now. I have minced purple onion, chopped hard-boiled egg whites, chopped egg yolks, hard-boiled, green scallions, minced. I should say minced on the purple onion, not chopped. I have capers, and I have finely minced tomato, okay? And I have some sour cream also over here in a pastry bag with a little star tip on it that we're going to use for final garnish. Now, before you start putting these garnishes on here, you want to keep in mind that you have two white things here. You have the egg whites and you have the sour cream. So you don't want to end up with them side by accident, okay? So we're going to start out by putting the egg yolks alongside one side of the salmon. We'll use a knife to kind of get it in a straight line here, okay? Then let's put the green scallions on this side here. Oops. Don't go crushing your egg yolks like that now. Get them off of the salmon. You want to straighten them out. Also, keep this in a straight line. Okay. Now, let's put the egg white right next to this. Use a knife again, straighten this out so you have a straight line here. Now if you were making a larger one on a tray, you'd do it the exact same way. In terms of keeping your lines nice and straight, and it will help you in your overall presentation when you're done. Okay, now let's put the tomato. Let's put the tomato. Let's put the tomato next to the egg white. Because you got the white with the nice bright red next to it. See? And again, we use a knife. Straighten this out so you got a nice straight line there, okay? Now, let's put the purple onion. And let's put the capers next to the yellow. Again, straighten it out so you got a nice straight line. And now let's put the purple onion, finally the last veg, next to the capers. So see, what you have when we're all said and done here is you have all of the right colors next to each other. That's something you want to consider before you start putting the first one down. God forbid you should have to take it apart and put it back together. Again, I want to remind you, this makes a great buffet style thing. Now, we're going to put some little sour cream florets here. Okay, and a couple of final things here. Not much. First of all, serving this with toast or toasted brioche or little croutons or crackers, sliced French bread, or pumpernickel. I mean, whatever your favorite kind of bread that would go with this will work. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on this salmon here. And I got one little piece of dill here I saved. So we'll put a little dill garnish here in the middle of the plate. And there you have it. This is a very cool little Salmon Gravlax appetizer plate. I'm sure you would agree. And it is delicious. So, there it is. I showed you how to cure salmon, slice it, and make yourself an appetizer plate. Enjoy this one, and remember, this is an item that you made when you make this. It's not that complicated. This is not something that you go out in the store and buy. You can't buy this in a store unless you're possibly in Midtown New York City shopping at an upscale, expensive gourmet store. So this is the perfect thing for you to make. It doesn't cost that much money. Salmon is not a really high expensive item, and you can make something that's really beautiful and really pretty. So enjoy that one and go for it.